Welcome back, baseball family. This week we've got Wander Franco, your Atlanta Braves, and a fantastic interview right now. 9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Welcome back, baseball family. We are super excited that you're here with us. I am Brig, and this is Brad. And
Hi, Brig.
This is the Baseball Together podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're in the right place. Even if you were expecting something else, welcome, because this is the right place now. So,
yes,
we have a lot to get into. We, as we said earlier, have an incredible interview. We thought was really a great interview. We're hoping you feel the same way coming up at the end. But we're going to jump into some current events really fast, and we're kind of going to cook through some of this and get it in so that we can make room for that interview at the end.
Yeah.
To begin with, we have to talk about Wander Franco. Okay?
As much as I don't want to, we're going to do it.
Right. And that's fair because this is not an easy thing to deal with or talk about at all. And that is largely because nobody really knows what's going on. Here's what we do know. The Tampa Bay Rays have placed Wander Franco on the restricted list. The official statement is that this was mutually agreed upon between Franco and the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, that's the official statement. Major League Baseball is investigating allegations of misconduct. This all started when a social media post began circulating accusing Wander Franco of having an inappropriate relationship. Now, it's important to note that as of right now, nothing has been proven, nothing is certain. And despite this incredible social media fallout, we really don't know much. Okay, we only have a he said, she said, hearsay situation. So let's keep it at that. On our show, we're going to keep it at that. We will bring you more information as the situation develops. Couple things to note about Wander Franco. Tampa Bay signed him to a $182 million 11-year contract in November 2021. And
a lot of tortillas for those of you keeping track.
This is what?
It's a lot of tortillas for those of you keeping track.
It's a lot of tortillas. And I believe it's the longest contract in Tampa Bay Rays history.
Has to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Franco, though. 3 years.
Yeah. Franco, though, has been accused by his manager of not being the best teammate at times. So there have been
immature.
Yes, there have been some clubhouse disturbances with him at the center. We're going to figure that out. So stay tuned. We will let you know if you choose not to get caught in the social media storm that is happening. That'd be okay. We got your back with just the facts. Moving on, Derek Jeter, who's always fun to talk about, will attend his first Old Timers Day. For those of you who are interested and want to know, even if you have an opportunity to attend, September 9th, it will be at Yankee Stadium, and I think it's in advance of them playing the Milwaukee Brewers. Old Timers Day this year will include some Q&A and some other festivities, but will not include an Old Timers game, as has been the tradition in the past. To answer your question, I have no idea. I wasn't able to find anything that justified.
Why would you get rid of the highlight of Old Timers Day?
It is the best part. Is the game.
Who doesn't love 90-year-old dudes swinging wood bats?
Right. It's awesome. And perhaps it's a matter of not having enough participation, not having enough interest. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. Guys are just like not interested in being around the team this year, potentially.
Ooh.
Maybe there won't be enough old timers to play an old timers game.
Right. I think it's more of an attrition thing than it is an interest thing, but I don't know. That's pure speculation.
Well, I was saying they weren't going to have enough guys because they don't have enough interest.
Oh, no, I think they just don't have enough guys. But we'll see.
Yeah, no, I wonder if they're not wanting to be around Brian Cashman and the Yankees right now.
Well, and former Yankee players are really intense about the brand and the culture.
Yeah, big time.
And everything. And so it's interesting you bring that up because some of the names on that list that are confirmed to be attending this year's Old Timers Day, there's a lot of the 98 club in that group. So, and I think that includes Joe Torre, if I'm not mistaken, as he's a confirmed participant. So it's interesting that the guys with some very recent, more or less, I guess that's been a long time ago now, some pretty recent
25 years ago.
some pretty recent within one generation of this moment, that are still in it to win it. Okay, let's move on. The Braves demolished the Mets, and
so bad.
Oh man,
So bad.
The doubleheader was, as we predicted, a bloodbath.
Mostly you, Brig. Your parlay hit. By the way,
Yeah, it was. I knew it was going to happen. I knew they'd lose both, but I didn't think it. I don't think anybody thought it'd be this bad. So
no.
So it was a doubleheader, and game one was a 23-1 or 21-3. Sorry, game one was a 21-3 win over the Mets. And there's a lot of storylines in here that I think are really fun. But the one I like the most is that Alan Winans pitched game one, 7 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts. This is his first win and only his second start in Major League Baseball. He was a 17th round pick in the 2018 draft. And in the offseason, he's a substitute teacher in Bakersfield, California. Congratulations, Alan.
That's awesome.
Isn't that the coolest? Oh, man. That made me just tickled. I'm just tickled for him, and I'm tickled for the Braves. And how could you not be? Best team in baseball, hands down. They roll into the second game that day and whoop the Mets again, this time 6-0. And the big part of this series win, especially those 2 games, we have to talk about Matt Olson, who's making an incredible run and making a lot of noise this season. He's got a 5.0 WAR in the season right now. He leads the league in home runs with 43. He has a 273 batting average, 94 runs to his name, league leading 107 RBIs. He's only stolen 1 base. That is not his job description. He has a 382 OBP, 621 slugging. That also leads the league, and a 1.003 OPS. Brad, are you as high on Matt Olson as you should be?
I've been high on Matt Olson for a long time. I saw actually just like a few minutes ago, I saw a stat that said that his slugging with runners on base is like 710. I think.
Wow.
Yeah. No. So Brig, I saw Matt Olson play right field for the A's as a rookie. I saw him play live. Actually, where we were sitting at T-Mobile Park, his aunt and uncle were sitting in front of us.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, that's neat. Like this guy's aunt and uncle here, whatever. I was like, that's pretty cool. And he didn't do much that night, but it was because I had that like tiny little connection to him. He's a guy I followed like the next couple of years. And I was like, oh, he's legit. He just had a bad day.
Oh, this guy.
Young guy having a bad day during a September call-up. He's a legitimate player. And
correct.
And the Braves got him on a bargain. In the trade and the extension both.
Yeah, I still cannot understand the Matt Olson upgrade. It does because we were so distraught. Like everybody in Braves country was so distraught when Freeman left that this is just an incredible turnaround. It's just ridiculous.
It's so funny. Well, the thing that's also funny about it to me is that like it's not like Freddie Freeman fell off a cliff.
No.
Right?
It's great.
He's still having a great year in LA. It's like, do you want Freddie Freeman or do you want Matt Olson? It's like, well, today we'll take Matt Olson because that's what we're getting. But if we had Freddie Freeman, like we wouldn't complain about that either, So
that's right.
It's like,
let's pull up Freddie Freeman's stats really quick. 5.3 WAR. He has 23 home runs. Batting average is a whopping 339 right now. He has 101 runs, 83 RBIs, stolen 16 bases because that is in his job description. OBP 417, slugging 588, OPS 1.005.
I think a lot of those stolen bases are on the back end of a double steal. Like, probably because he's on first, the fast guy on second a lot, and the Dodgers run. So
yeah.
I'd say
he leads the league
on the back end of a double steal.
He leads the league in OPS and in doubles and in OPS plus, which is 167. So he's no slouch either. Anyway, just really interesting comparison between the two guys. I think it's fantastic.
It is. Yeah. It's just crazy to me that you, like, as a fan, I'm sure you're just distraught losing the guy you're familiar with, Freddie Freeman, but then you bring in Matt Olson. It's like,
oh,
okay. Yeah. How often does that happen? Not often.
Well, and what's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how the fans respond to this. If you're a Braves fan, I want to know what you think. After Freddie Freeman led the team to a world championship, and everybody thought, man, if he comes back, he's legitimately going to get a statue out front, right? That's how big it was. Now, if Matt Olson comes in and helps lead the team to a World Series victory this year, what are we talking about?
You know what, though? I think if anybody's going to lead this team to a World Series on that team right now, though, it's going to be Acuna.
Oh, I agree with that.
Because that dude's going to win the MVP this year.
Totally.
He's going to lead the league in stolen bases and be right up there in home runs, right?
Absolutely.
Probably win a Gold Glove. Like,
I would imagine. So.
I think if you're talking statue, because of a World Series specifically this year, I think Acuna is the guy who gets it.
Yeah. No, I don't think Matt Olson's going to get a statue. He's only been there. He's not been there long enough. But
no. He'd have to be there the rest of his career and win. Probably hit 2, maybe 3, and get 2 World Series MVPs.
There you go. Yeah,
even then he's not a homegrown guy though, so I don't know if they do it.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. All right, Brad, cue the music.
Cued.
Baseball family, we want to welcome you to the Ump Show. This is the part of the show where we tell you just some incredible stuff that goes on in the umpire world. First and foremost, Angel Hernandez is back. The Angry Angel is back behind the plate in the Yankees versus Marlins matchup in Miami. He missed 15 calls behind home plate. And even the announcers got on the can't believe it wagon. They just really started ragging on him and chewing him up for it. Did you happen to catch any of this, Brad?
I didn't see this one, but I assumed. It's one of those things where you don't have to see it to know it's bad.
Yeah.
You just have to know who's involved.
You're like, yeah, I believe that.
I don't need to verify. I believe you.
So I went to umpire scorecards and I did a little bit of research, as it were.
Okay.
And I love what those guys do. So umpire scorecards gave him an 89% overall accuracy and an 89% overall consistency.
That's the problem right there. That's
Yes.
the problem.
Look, your accuracy.
Because I think 88% accuracy is average, right?
I mean, I think it needs to be higher. I think
it does need to be higher. That's a B plus, barely.
Yeah, it's not acceptable. Not at that level with that much money and that big a deal. Oh. But the consistency, that really is a huge problem. And I don't know what else to say.
I don't know how you hit with that. Honestly, I don't know how you step into the box and know what anything is going to be.
No.
And the thing that drives me crazy is the people who always say, like, well, that's too close to let go with 2 strikes. It's like, no, by rule, by definition, that pitch was a ball.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that umpire decided to call it a strike because of what he saw and his belief and his opinion of what the strike zone is, even though it's established in this area.
Right.
That's the thing that makes me bonkers.
Nearly 10% of called balls were actually strikes in this game.
It's ridiculous.
Right? And 13% of called strikes were actually balls. So figure that out, Brad.
Yeah, well, because I'm sure that there were pitches in the exact like I can understand like the difference between like a curveball hitting a spot and then a fastball hitting that one spot, because especially at the top of the zone, if you get a curveball that drops into the top of the zone, they're going to assume that it probably dropped it above. But then you get a fastball in the same spot, it's like that is clearly in the top of the zone, right?
Right.
But the thing that drives me crazy is when you see the exact same pitch hit the exact same location and it is not the exact same call that day.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Or even that inning sometimes.
Yes. Same batter sometimes, even like 3 pitches
Yeah,
ago.
it's
That
true.
was a strike. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, baseball family, it gets better because Lou Williams had 3 calls overturned at first base between the Phillies and the Nats. He came up
too. Early.
Yeah, he came up from AAA to fill in during Tuesday's doubleheader. In the second inning, Bryce Harper's foot was off the bag. He missed that call. It got overturned. In the third inning, Nick Castellanos was easily safe at first base on a throw from third. He got that wrong and had it overturned. And then again in the third inning, Castellanos was called.
Couple minutes later, maybe a few seconds.
Yeah, Castellanos was called out on a pickoff attempt. Again, reviewed and overturned. So this dude had a bad day called up from AAA to the bigs. Woof.
Like, does he have something against Nick Castellanos? Because I watched that video, and you could see so clearly that he was safe on that throw to first. Even the guys on the broadcast, they're like, and he's what? I don't know about that. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
They review and overturn it, and unreal. It's absolutely unreal. And I don't know this guy will be getting called up again anytime soon, because 3 calls in one game is pretty bad. Pretty bad. And this is the thing. Like, I understand nerves and everything, but
yeah,
players aren't allowed the nerves really either, right?
Exactly.
They're expected to perform when they get up. So,
all right, that's it for this week's Ump Show. Thanks for joining us. Let's move on. Your weekly Shohei Ohtani report is now here. He will miss his next start with arm fatigue. Probably back fatigue as well for carrying the team the whole season. Okay.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! Let's be honest.
Let's be real. So I thought this was interesting. This is a classic Phil Nevin quote, especially here at the beginning. I can just hear him. I've told you guys many times he knows his body better than anybody. He said, I trust him when he talks about it. He assured me there's no pain, there's no injury. He's just got some regular arm fatigue that some go through at times. I trust him when he tells me this, and he'll be ready to go next time out. So Phil Nevin seems a little irritated by this, but he also seems irritated by everything all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's all that is. I don't know.
Of course he is.
Wouldn't you be?
He's running the Angels right now.
He's on a 1-year contract.
Both directions. Yeah, on a one. Yeah, exactly. Can you believe trying to work for that ownership group and having to support yourself with those players all at the same time? And no. Of course, that dude's grumpy.
Yeah. Grumpy before he was a manager, extra grumpy as a manager of the Angels specifically. But no, like, I wonder if Ohtani's like, I'm really curious, because I don't feel like it's in his personality to do this, but I do feel like it's in just about every agent's personality to save your arm a little bit in this lost season, right?
Totally. Yeah.
I wonder if that might be some of what it is. Like, oh, my arm's just tired. That's a non-injury way to skip a start.
For sure.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want to encourage shamming, especially from the greatest player of all time. Yeah.
Right.
However, I don't blame him.
It's a business decision.
It is.
He's going to try to go to a contender next year.
Yeah.
And you want to be fresh. You don't want to be going to the offseason and have to take extra rest because you've overworked your arm. Because he's thrown, I haven't looked it up, but I'm curious how many more innings he has already thrown, like what he's on pace for this season compared to last year and the year before. Because I am certain it's more than what he's thrown the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm
because he's really taken on a heavy load this year.
Yeah. All right, couple more things, and then we'll jump to that interview. The news that I thought was most interesting, kind of out of left field, a little bit of off-season sizzle going on. Craig Counsell is now rumored to be expected to step down as the Brewers manager this offseason. After this season, there are 2 reasons this speculation is starting to circulate. One, his kids are at the age where he is now missing their ball games due to his professional obligations. Now, that's a wonderful reason to maybe step down. We support that wholeheartedly. The other reason is business related. The rumor has it. So David Stearns is very likely to leave his position in Milwaukee and head to Queens to GM the Mets next season. That is
interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Everybody seems to be talking about it. It got leaked on some show. I forget where. It got leaked, and what they're saying is that he's going to get a bag of money from New York. So it sounds like what Steve Cohen might be doing is saying, okay, well, we didn't fix it at the player level, so maybe we can fix it a little higher up. And that's a reasonable consideration. So,
yeah,
very interesting. So David Stearns expected to earn a bag of money going to New York Mets this offseason, and he may be trying to / able to persuade his current manager, Craig Counsell, to follow him. Counsell is the winningest manager in Milwaukee Brewers history. In the history of ever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been their manager since 2015. So either way, it would be a reasonable move given the timeline and tenure and his record.
It would be, and especially if the Brewers don't make the playoffs this year, or at least don't win their division, it would make sense for him to be like, it's time for me to move on, and the organization to be like, yep, we get it. Start fresh, right?
Yeah.
The Mets certainly don't seem like they're going to bring back Buck Showalter, and I wonder if they buy into some of that superstition about fire Buck Showalter, win the World Series.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's not like a real thing, but it was a thing there for a little bit, or at least the playoffs. So
it was.
I don't know, and I think he would be an excellent fit there. I think that would be a great spot for him.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
let's talk about weekend sweeps. The Nats swept the A's. The Dodgers swept the Rockies. Told you so. And the Brewers swept the White Sox. I think we told you so there too. Any comments on that real fast, Brad?
I'm surprised that the A's didn't even get one from the Nats. The Nats are playing well right now. I'll give them that. Yeah. But even it's tough to even sweep a team like the A's if you've been as bad as the Nats have.
Yeah. Brad, why don't you pull up our fantasy stuff, and I'll tell everybody about Versus Game. Baseball family, we're always asking what you think and how you feel about some of the things that we bring to the table on the show. And now you have a quick and easy way, really easy, convenient way to jump in on those conversations. We have partnered with Versus Game to bring you polls and trivia and the opportunity to make real dollar bills. That's right, actual money playing these games with us. All you got to do is download the app on your phone. Go to btpod.onversus.com on your mobile browser. You sign up and play with the polls and the trivia that we have posted. You can do it for free, or you can do it by purchasing bundle packs and different things like that. It supports the show. It's a lot of fun. We have a couple of games up there right now, and we encourage you to go. So it's at btpod.onversus.com. Sign up and play on Versus games with us right now. Brad, hit us with, and we'll go to break.
Okay, Week 18 fantasy matchups. I'm going to start from the top this week because I'm there on my chart. And guess what, Brig? I won.
Yeah, you did.
Back in the win column, baby. I won this one 510 to 505. I'm the Yonkers batsman. I beat Grace under fire. That is Denise.
That's incredible, by the way.
Her top performer was Freddie Freeman with 89 points. And mine was Austin Riley with 61. Balance attack coming at you from the Yonkers batsman. That's what's going on there. I got lucky because apparently Ozzy Albies left the game early on Sunday, and that's why I ended up winning by 5 points.
That's
anyway.
Awesome.
Burns Turner Overdrive. That's Tori. He is co-host with Jason of the Philly Baseball Together podcast. Went up against you, Brigger Mortis. And Brig, you won 442 to 426. Your top performer was Will Smith of the Dodgers, 76 points. Then Christian Walker was Tori's with 67 points. And then we have the Big League Chupacabra. That's Jewel, my co-host on the Seattle Baseball Together podcast. And then Jason on another fantasy team. Jewel blew him out of the water. 744 to 405. Jules' top performer was Tristan Casas with 85 points. Nathaniel Lowe was Jason's with 70 points. And then we have the bottom of the table here. We have the Harrisburg Charlies. That's John against our listener participant, Mike, who is Devastation Incorporated. And Mike won this one 549 to 420. Mike's top performer, are you ready? None other than Matt Olson with 116 points. And then John's was K-Bear Ruiz with 76 points. So records, real quick going down the table. Denise is 12-6. I'm 6-12. Tori is 7-11. Brig, you are also 7-11. No luckier record in the league, by the way.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jason, who's 10-8. Jewel is 15-3. John is 1-17, and Mike is 14-4. There is your Week 18 fantasy baseball matchup. Now, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to have an interview for you with the director and who the story is about, the inspiration for the movie, The Hill. Welcome back, baseball family. We have a very special interview with Jeff, don't call me Cilantro, Celentano, and Rickey Hill. Jeff is the director of the movie The Hill, which is a movie about Rickey's life. We're so happy to have them here. Thank you both for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure of ours to be here, man.
So before we get into anything about the movie, we're going to give them the same treatment we give all of our guests, which is a rundown. So Jeff, first question is coming your way. What is your quest?
My quest in life?
Your quest in general.
My quest in general is to wake up every day feeling happy, healthy, and full of energy and living life to the max. I've always been that guy. No matter where I am, I wake up every day and say to myself, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to change my habits. And if I drink coffee for a month straight, the next month don't drink it. Or I try to aspire to that. It doesn't always work. But so my quest is to really, it's funny when you get older, like you're still 25 in your mind, but your body says, and that's kind of what's been happening to me. I'm an avid surfer. I get in the ocean a lot and surf, and got to get my body lined up for that every day. So instead of waking up and jumping in the water, I got to do a whole bunch of stretching, stuff like that. And my quest is to keep making movies till I'm dead. I love what I do. I think I was put on the earth to do it. I mean, I was an actor for many years and I loved it, but it wasn't my calling. And then when I started making movies, I realized that it was a lot better to make movies that take a whole year than as an actor, you have all this time in between all the jobs you don't get. And then you got to go to the dry cleaner, the bank, you wash your dog just to take up the time of the day. But as a director, you're on movies for a year or two. And I've been on the Hill for 16 years trying to get it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Great things take a while to get made,
That's right. That's right. Rickey, same question to you. What is your quest?
Well, I'm a little different from him because I'm not a producer or director or anything like that. Mine is keeping my faith intact, okay, and serving my God the way I'm supposed to. That's my quest in life.
And then golf.
Without having to kill somebody, one of those deals. That's my quest, and then plus shoot in golf 66, 66, 66, and 66.
There you go.
Good quest.
That's great.
All right, Jeff, what is your favorite color?
Blue. Aqua blue, actually, to be exact.
I like the specificity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes with the ocean.
Rickey, who's your favorite baseball team?
Honestly, I don't have one.
That's going to make this next question hard.
Go to the next one then, Brig. Just go to the
next one.
Next
If baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Dreamsicle.
Ooh.
That's really good.
Right.
That's a hot take. I like that.
All right, so Jeff, if the Phillies, your favorite team, was a beverage, what would it be?
Root beer.
Yep.
Instant.
Good
Just
class.
reminds me of the back there, A&W root beer. You remember that?
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys are only 12. You don't remember that.
My daughter
Yes.
my daughter is special needs, and she only eats about a handful of things, but one thing she loves more than anything is A&W root beer.
Wow. Well, tell her that she has a fan here.
I'll let her know.
Okay, Rickey, last question for you. What is one unpopular baseball opinion that you have?
One unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
It's too political.
Agreed.
It's totally. It's been this way since even the 70s. Everything is bought. It's not. They just want to let the game be free and play the game the way it's supposed to. That's been my beef since day one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I worked with the Association of Professional Baseball Players, and this might sound kind of rough, but we wanted a limited amount of foreigners playing in the United States, and that was a beef.
That's interesting. How long ago was that?
75.
Mhm.
When we first started.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was back when that guy carved those commandments in the stone and the other guy invented that round wheel.
You know what? That's exactly what I was thinking, because I was thinking of Jeff at the time. But yeah, I was thinking of Jeff and his all his rocks that he used to throw, but they were big, huge boulders. Him pushing them along with Pharaoh when they were trying to cross the Red River.
I don't mean to veer off, but I just want you guys to know that Rickey hit 2,000 rocks a day with a stick. Every day he was so bored and poor, and when he was 8, that's what he did. That's why he's getting me back now, because I did not hit 2,000 rocks a day. That's for sure.
Wow.
I might be
That's
sitting
incredible.
in a chair if I did that.
Well, the problem was he couldn't even hit one because he'd miss it.
That's true. That's true. I would. I'm terrible. No, I was an athlete my whole life. Come on.
Yeah, he couldn't hit water if he jumped off the ship.
Oh,
It's a shot fired.
whoa! They're flying now. Rick, did you lose some weight? It's like throwing a chair off the Titanic. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the 2,000 rocks, because that is something that got depicted very well in the film, right? The boredom was very palpable. The not that the film was boring, but that the depiction of the boredom was very real and apparent, I think, as viewers. And it sounds like that was a really important part of Rickey's story and his upbringing. Would you say was that super deliberate? I'm assuming it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I had to have places where there's rocks because that's all I did all day long. It was free, and so I dove into rocks, hitting them all day long with a stick.
Yeah, he had like a natural talent anyway, and then of course you combine that with all that time he spent on the railroad tracks hitting the little stones. His eye-hand coordination's unbelievable. Like that's why he's such a scratch golfer.
Yeah,
It's just anything you put in his hand with a stick and a rock or a ball or an object, he's just going to be able. He can aim it. I validated all this. I mean, this is all real. Even Dennis Quaid said, what Rickey did in this movie, I can't even believe this story has never been told and that it's real. Like, who the heck does that? Like, I said, I have all the documentation. And then when he met Rickey, when Dennis met him and had dinner with him, he was blown away at the story. Rickey gets very passionate when he talks about the story and just tells you what he went through. I mean, it's such an inspirational movie for everybody, because I think that everybody can relate to wanting something so bad you can taste it and you have all the talent in the world, but you can't get there. It's kind of like this movie. I was just talking to somebody today about it. They said, Jeff, this movie's so good. Every time I go, I cry 6 times, 7 times. I get emotional. I come out, I'm so excited when I come out. I'm so inspired. your movie's going to do great. And I said, I love this movie, and I think this movie, once it catches on, is the perfect movie for everybody. But today, there's so much out there. We got to push through all the muck to get noticed, because you could have the best movie in the world, unless people see it, they don't know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And every now and then I get that strange friend of mine who'll call me from like Philly, funny enough, and he'll call me and he'll say, hey, he's a pretty prolific guy, he's a writer, screenwriter, and he'll say, hey, when's your what's going on with your movie? I said, what, you haven't seen all the press? There's that one guy, because we have a lot of press, and Briarcliff's killing it out there, and we have a lot of great stuff going on, like you guys, but never everybody's going to ever get the message. And so I just want that message to get spread across the country, because it's really I set out to make a period classic film like the old ones that we love, like Field of Dreams. And I've had a couple people in the test screening come up to me, an old man with tears in his eyes, and he said, you moved me, sir. I have not seen a movie like this in Field of Dreams. So
wow.
Rickey's life, what he went through, we depicted the how poor they were. I mean, they ate cornbread and drank milk. That's what they ate for dinner. And the dad made $50 a month.
Yeah, that's not all necessarily true. I also ate Alpo out of dog food can several times.
He actually did, funny enough.
That's the honest truth. I had to eat dog food.
Yeah, that's why his bark is a little louder than normal.
That's right. Exactly. That's why that when I get around and anybody want to fist fight me, they get chewed up.
Rickey, I have a question about that specifically. The film shows a lot of, thematically, there's a lot of dialogue around gifts and opportunities and chances, and then life sort of taking those away from you, right? Stripping them from the grip that you've held them in so tightly. I have personal experience with that in my life. I'm also have spinal fusion. I heard that you do as well. And with the rods and the cages in our back, how have you dealt with that as a person? Those opportunities, things just keeping getting taken away from you, and yet you continue to press forward and fight and achieve and reach. How do you do that, man?
It's funny. It's funny because the other day I've had people ask me, I've gone through a couple, 2 windshields going 80 miles an hour. It didn't even knock me out. I've gone through so much surgeries that too many to even count. I mean, I quit actually counting them in the 30s. And but yeah, I just continued going on because I've had pain more than I've had relief. So I just got used to the pain. So that's my next film. I got to get used to the pain,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sometimes I call him and he's laying on his back in his house on the floor when it's raining. I'll say, what's going on, Rickey? All right? He said, no, I'm laying on my floor all spread out because I can't get up. It is so painful. And then he'll the next week I see him, he looks like he'd run the marathon. It's the strangest thing. He's just got unbelievable metabolism or something.
Yeah, the humidity gets me, if anything. Rain gets me. And so yeah, I mean it's I'm good, but honestly be up front with you. I've been doing very well. I've been taking this product that's out of this world, and today I have no inflammation in my body whatsoever, which is almost basically impossible at my age.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, congratulations.
I was really curious, just because Dennis Quaid he was the rookie, right? Like one of the other big baseball movies. I'm curious if he was always the guy to play Rickey's dad, or if it was kind of like you went through a list of names and then he kind of popped out and then I guess it probably agreed to it. He's not somebody you audition, right?
No. Dennis was definitely on the top of the list. There's always a list.
Yeah.
But when I look at the list in a grouping, when the casting director gives it to you, you put your own list together, you guys sit and talk about all the qualities of James Hill, not only that who he was, but also how you want to portray him. And there was nobody that had, obviously Costner and Dennis have fought over sports movies their whole, not fought, but they've battled who's going to play what. And Costner's great, but Dennis had an unbelievable quality that I felt was like a complete circle of a perfect man. He's like this tough guy. He can be a cowboy and strong and scary, but he can also be the warmest, fuzziest, sweet, lovable teddy bear. And I needed that in the movie. I needed a guy that everybody can relate to. Matter of fact, it's funny you brought that up. Dennis was number one choice for this part. After we sat and talked about it, absolutely, hands down. But every other role had the similar kind of thing that Dennis had. I wanted everybody to be, especially little Rickey, I wanted him to have unconditional love, like a dog. Like you kick him and it just comes back and licks you. That's how little Rickey was. Rickey, when he was young, he was so innocent, and he'd fall down and get hit or get bullied. He'd stand back up and he'd fight through it, and then he'd smile at you. And so I think that if you saw the film, every cast member to me was perfectly cast. And that's not because I directed the movie. I mean, I've made a lot of movies, and you'll never hear me say, I like my cast, great cast, but you're never going to hear me say what I'm saying now, which is every single person fit the part to the T, and they all had a certain quality that I think every person can relate to in some way. Like when a family goes to see this movie, I'm sure people go, I know those people. They live next door to me, they'll relate to each person. Or I had a dad like that. And, I wanted the dad to be tough, but super understanding. And I wanted the audience to relate to him, that he cares about his son. He's not being a tough father just because he's an egomaniac. He's the opposite. He was very in love with being a pastor and wanted to carry that on to his son. And when he saw his son wanted to play baseball, he said, no, you're going to get bullied, ridiculed, and possibly in a wheelchair the rest of your life if you try to play this game. I mean, everybody told him he couldn't play, the doctors, his friends, everybody. And there were certain people that believed in him and believed in his will and pushed him,
Yeah.
So Dennis really portrayed the father. He one of the best performances I've ever seen. He told me it's one of the best roles he's had ever. Because it was a lot of complex guy for him. There was a lot of different things for him to play. I'll quote Dennis, there's a lot of meat on the bone in this one for me.
That's awesome.
But I think you're right, though. The casting was perfect. Sometimes you'll see a movie and you're like, I get it, but I don't buy that person in that role.
Right.
But everybody had me completely bought in on all of them. It was fantastic.
You just said the two words, bought in, meaning that I rarely see any movie where I get absorbed into the movie and I kind of don't know where I am. But I've seen The Hill 1,000 times, and every time I watch it, I kind of forget I'm watching it because I get so involved in the people. Yeah. That was a sheer luck. That chemistry is everything, and that chemistry just clicked with everybody. Like the three little kids, they were like best friends through the whole movie shoot. And then they leave, and we bring in the next group of three kids that are older, and they got along the whole time, perfectly, like they were best friends. So they created a family. And if you look at Dennis and Joelle Carter and Grandma and all the kids in the family, never for a second do you think they're not a family. Like they look like they're, and then of course, what really gets me in movies is when the kids grow up, you have this little boy and girl and brother that you got to fall in love with for 50 pages. And then 50 pages more, you give them somebody else, they get pissed. They're like, the families, people that are watching the movie, the audience is like, you just took away that kid I fell in love with, and now you give me another kid, I better fall in love with him. And you do. Colin, to me, all the kids look just like the younger versions of themselves. That was important to me.
Well, Colin's so good looking that he just fit the role perfect for me.
Oh, that's Well, guys, don't ask me what I think of that question. Okay.
No. Hey, Rickey. Rickey, next question for you is that the sheer pressure of that tryout. I think what came through really well in the film, obviously that's kind of the pinnacle moment, but immediately following that, can you take us a little bit further past the narrative of the film and just tell us kind of how it went afterward? Like through
Yeah,
it once you got in the minor leagues and everything?
Yeah, I can. First of all, I knew that I had a limited amount of time, very limited, because of they already let me know that my spine at 17 years old. I really knew it at 14. They let me know that that my discs were just crumbling, and they even told me when I was 17 that I had the disc of a 75-year-old man at one time. But I accepted it and went ahead and went along with it. And it was something that I said, you know what? It doesn't matter what I have. I'm playing. I think I told Jeff this too, that I'm playing and until every tire goes flat. And yeah, I played. What people didn't understand what I did was I actually played 5 seasons, and but I played year round. I played winter ball every year somewhere, whether it be Mexico, whether it be Venezuela, or I played one winter ball in Italy, and then I played. But I played year round. People don't even realize that, and what that kind of double. That's like playing a double season, and because I was limited amount of time of how much time that I had to make it to the big leagues, and in 1978 I got on a roll because I was designated hitter that year, 78. I'd never let anyone know about my spine. I did some things that you shouldn't be doing just to play ball, but putting yourself at risk of being paralyzed. And in 78, my grand total home runs that year, at 488 at bats, I hit 51 home runs, and that's an awfully big year to
A huge year.
have going. Yeah, to go into your next year not knowing, if you can even walk, right? It's just when your disc had crumbled down to nothing. I went to the spring training the following year, and the San Diego Padres was taking me up to the big leagues, and I collapsed diving into second base. I had no legs for. I didn't walk. I was in traction in the hospital for 3 months. Because back then, guys, they didn't have anything to hardly do for you, especially when you have no disc. None. And everything I've got inside of my body right now is giving me life again because of technology. And these screws that I have in my spine, I have 9 of them. And I have 6 cages, and I have a rod that holds me all together. And so back then I couldn't even think about ever, coming back, making a comeback. I knew when it was over, but I knew the day was coming. They let me know. And because after that big night that we had down at that big night that you saw, I got offered 47 scholarships. And before, nobody even wanted me before, because they didn't want me because of when I snapped my ankle half in two, it's like Achilles tendon. So therefore, they thought my whole baseball career was over. But I'm a fighter, man. I came back and I started getting bigger and larger. I wound up weighing 239, and I was 6'1.5", and then I became a power hitter, very strong power hitter. And each year that I got just a little older, I was just getting more power, even though my spine hurt me every time I swung it. It didn't matter. I'm swinging it. I'm swinging for the fence every time I got up to bat.
That's beautiful. You have to pardon my emotional response. I understand what you're saying, and it's wonderful.
You do understand, don't you? I know you do. It's a feeling that you know that you have a limited amount of time. Think about it. So I'm not going to go to college because that's going to be a waste of 4 years for me to go to college when I'm got offered a baseball professional contract right out of the gate from this big, huge camp that I was the only one out of 700 ball players that wind up signing a contract with the MLB team, and I'm the only one, period, which was very fortunate. I mean, this story goes on and on and on, man. I'm telling you, we could do a probably 10 years of a series on this thing.
They should. Jeff, let's get on that.
All right. No, we'll talk about it. Rickey, Andre Dawson was Rickey's roommate back in the day, and they traveled all those games together. They were super close. And you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He tells great stories about Andre Dawson and him. There were so many moments of Rickey's life that we wanted in the movie. Just interesting things that happened to him. There were so many that we couldn't. The movie would be 4 hours, so it was hard to kind of take those little babies away and send them off somewhere else. But we ended up making the movie the way the best we could with the story that I felt really compacted what happened. The movie's 2 hours long, so it seems fast when people watch it. They go, "I had no idea it was 2 hours. It felt like an hour and a half." But I had an incredible editor. We had an incredible crew. I mean, my producer Warren Ostergaard killed it. I mean, he and I went through we were in the war together. We went through the trenches. We were in the trenches. He worked tirelessly on this movie from the day he met me, and he's been trying to deliver this movie for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And we were paid 2 years ago. I mean, we still love the movie. We'll never give up. We're like Rickey. As I told Rickey when he met me, he said I walked up to Red Murphy and I said, "I'm the best hitter you're ever going to see." And that rang true to me inside. And I walked up to Rickey when I met him. I shook his hand. I said, "I'm the best hitter you're ever going to see. That's why you need me." That's awesome. There were a lot of bigger directors with bigger careers trying to get this movie away from me. But everybody around me just kept me, Rickey included, just kept me in their sights and said, "No, we're not going to make this movie without Jeff. His heart is full of this movie." And it's always been. This is not even a movie to me. This is like a lifelong journey for me that I don't think I'll ever have again, no matter what I make. This is a special movie. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I got to brag on him. I got to brag on him because I always do. Not that I want to, trust me, but I am. When he came to me, after I spent 1 hour with him, and then the next day I spent time with him again, I knew he was the one. And I just interviewed over 40 something directors, but I knew he was the one. He had this heart that, like mine, it beats, and it beats so hard that it believes in winning. And I knew I could see it. And I'd already been through so much crap through all these directors out there that are full of whale manure. And but when I met Jeff, I knew without a doubt he was the one. And you know what? Once again, I'm right.
Well, that's it.
I had to say that. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
The best compliment I've ever gotten. An underhanded compliment. I like it.
Yeah.
So I have
I
one
try
more
to
question.
tell
I don't
everybody
know.
I'm right all the time. I'm right all the time, but for some reason they don't believe me. But I'm telling you, I'm right. I was right again. And look what he did. He puts this whole team together, which is absolutely miraculous. And I'm sitting there going through my mind, going, I cannot believe what all he's put together. And he worked so hard at it. Like I said, I hate to say this to him, but I was right again. But yeah, he was it. He was as today would say, man, he was a dope. He was it.
So I have one more question for you before we get out of here. I don't know if Brig has one more as well, but I'm curious. You talked about how there was, it could have been a 4-hour movie. Was there one scene, like a deleted scene, that you wished could have stayed in the movie, but just had to go just for time constraint?
Yeah, there's a tiny little scene. Tiny. It's where little Rickey and his sister are sitting in the bedroom, and he has a sock full of change, and he dumps it out on the table. It's so cute. And he says, she said, where'd you get all that money? He says, I've been saving it. I jumped down into the ditch on the street, and I pick up every penny. And she says, that's disgusting. And he says, yeah, there's a lot of rats down there too, but it don't matter. And that's kind of the scene. And he said, I'm saving this for Daddy because I want to buy him a hamburger and a Coke for Christmas. And that scene breaks my heart. It's so sweet, but time wise, and it didn't fit where it was. We moved it around and it never really fit. They go right from there to that 50s diner you saw, and they buy the burger. That burger scene broke my heart. When I read that, I cried my eyes out. And the scene itself really, really was something. And so I had to take it out. It was hard for me because it was so sweet. Right after that scene, the coach comes to the door, and it gets real for stuff gets real for the family, as you know.
It does.
And so that scene just didn't fit there. It was I had to lose it. It was sad. You can't keep all the children in the movie. You want to keep your babies, but you got to send them off to another movie, and so that'll probably be in the outtakes stuff. There's a couple other little moments, Earl was he's a little moment outside the church after he kind of takes Dennis on, and he's going to kind of go at Dennis there. But we felt it was overkill because the next scene, he picks him up at the bar where he's coming out and gives him a ride home. So,
which is a great depiction of the dynamics of the family and of his dad and everything with, like, I'm willing to whoop you if I have to, but I'm still going to put my arm around you at the same time. And I think that speaks to who Rickey is and his character. And I'm glad that came through in the film.
Well, it's funny. That scene's very funny. Dennis said, I'm not hitting the guy. I said, no, I'm going to look like a wimp. I said, I'm going to make you look like a hero. You are not like a wimp. And if you watch the scene, he never touches the guy except to push him away. The guy, he pushes him out of the way on the one scene, part of the scene. And then the other one, the guy swings, Dennis ducks and pushes him down. He never touches the guy with a fist or open hand or anything. So that was important to me because I felt that Pastor Hill had enough sense to know how to fight. He's a tough man. Rickey's dad was a tough man, but he also knew that this guy was drunk and he just wanted to give him a ride home. He didn't want to beat him up. So I think we covered that pretty well. There's little subtle moments like that, like the scene where he takes his son out back.
Oh, that's my favorite scene of the whole film.
That was a great scene.
Well, let me tell you, that was a lot of struggle to figure that one out. And I'll tell you a 2-second story. It's brilliant. There was a line at the end of that scene that Dennis was supposed to say. He says to the kid, just go on in. The punishment's already happened or something. And Dennis said, why do I have to say that line? I said, because it took me about 6 months to figure that line out. We had to come up with the perfect line. We had to come up with the perfect line that covered what you're feeling. He goes, why can't I just feel it? I said, the audience won't get it. He said, okay, all right, I'll do it. And then he did the scene, and I'm watching the scene, and he gets to that last moment where he's making a decision what to do, when he's about to, punish his son. And Dennis just lost it. He started crying and he broke down. And I was I was crying, and the crew, I looked like some Grips had tears in their eyes, and I said, what is going on? And I walked over, I cut, and I walked over to Dennis. I put my arm around him. I said, that was beautiful. Where did that come from? And he goes, that my dad just came into my soul right then. And I just remembered everything that ever happened to me as a kid with him. And this brought back all those memories. And then he looked at me and he smiled and he said, you still need the line? And I said, obviously not.
I think you crushed it, by the way.
Okay, so kudos to Dennis in that story, but you're not giving yourself enough credit for lining the shot up perfectly so that we look over the boy's shoulder into Dad's eyes and we get to see the pain juxtaposed between both characters at the same moment and deal with all of that emotion in about this big a box. So wow. You deserve a lot of credit there as well. Okay.
Thank you, man. That had nothing to do with time. We had no time. We had one shot. No, I'm just kidding. No, that was a lot of work to figure that one out and I thank you for saying that, because to have enough guts in an emotional scene like that, not to push the camera up on an actor's face to make sure you get in their face, that was hard for me. That was a real emotional scene in the movie, a big pivotal scene for Dennis's character and the son. And I didn't want to be off of them. I wanted to be on their faces like this close, but it didn't work. It feel right. And I said, let's do it like this. And then everybody on set's like, are you sure? Like, my DP's like, you sure you want to do it like, and he actually helped me design it. And the DP, Chris Kimlin really was good at designing that shot too. So I give him credit.
That's great. That's great. Okay. I do have one last question and then we can wrap her up for us. Rickey, I've heard a lot of people talk about when they make a biopic that the person depicted in the film has to sort of edit their life a little bit. And that can be a little bit of a emotional and maybe painful experience. Can you speak to that at all? Was this difficult for you to look at pieces of your life and say, no, that doesn't necessarily flow well enough for what we're trying to achieve here, or anything like that?
I've never been asked that question. I've been asked 10,000 questions. I've never been asked that question. As far as editing my life, the only thing that I would say, period, in this film, what really, like the story that Jeff just got through telling about what my father did, and he did not. He didn't give my brother the whipping. I didn't even know they even wrote that in the movie. I didn't know that they even put that in the script. I'll be upfront with you. I didn't even know it. But when I got to see it, it really floored me in a way. I gotta go back to this just a second. It floored me in a way because that's exactly how my dad handled it. Exactly. To a T. And I never did bring that up. And that was, a very touching moment. The only other thing as far as editing anything is I would like to say this to you guys so you know, whether you're aired or whether you don't, that when I did go up to Red Murph, I had to jump over a 10-foot wall to get on the ball field. And I had to go to him because I'd already been cut off there's one big, huge finale game. And that game, out of 700 players, you think about it a minute, there only is 8 players that's playing in the game, 8 players on each side, because you've got one pitcher. And then for him to give me the opportunity he gave me. But when I walked up to Red Murph, and I kind of want you guys to really know this, that I had tapped him on the shoulder, and he was talking to 8 or 9 scouts, and he's standing on top of the rubber of the pitcher's mound. And you can imagine this just in your mind. This is a man that signed Nolan Ryan. This is the king of all the kings in scouting world of putting ball players on the field. And I walked up to him and tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned around and he looked at me, and he said, "You know where you're standing?" Well, he's 6'6", and when he's on the mound, now he's 10 feet tall. And yeah, I mean, think about that a minute. You talking about intimidation? That's intimidation. And so I said, "No, sir, I don't." He goes, "You're standing on the hill." Now, isn't that interesting?
Huh.
Think about that a minute. Standing on the hill. And so I said to him, I said to Red, "Red, my name's Rickey Hill. And I just wanted to let you know before I leave this camp that it's a shame you're never going to get to see the best hitter in this camp." And that's when he said, "You know, if your bat is in tune with your tongue," this, by the way, this made Sports Illustrated. He said, "If your bat is in tune with your tongue, you're a hell of a hitter." He said, "So you honestly believe, you think that you're the best hitter here?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't. I know I am." Well, that just really got it. I mean, it really did. That just got it big time. And that's what made this whole thing get started. Even this movie wouldn't even be coming out today had that not happened. And all the other scouts behind him were doing nasty things that get me off the field. And that I don't deserve it. I don't deserve the shot. And Red Merce said, "Just shut up." And he looked at me and he said, "Some reason I am believing you are telling me the truth." He said, "So tonight," he goes, "Where's your uniform?" I said, "You're looking at it." I was so poor. Seriously, guys, you have no idea. I was down there wearing polyester shorts during the deal, and it was just very embarrassing. And
You still
so,
wear those today. You still wear those today, Rick, the red ones. I like
yeah,
the red
I do. I wear those, and then I hand my handers over to you. I give them back to you. So anyway, but saying that, he said, "Get him a uniform and get him ready for tonight's game." And that gave me the chance. That was at 2:30 in the afternoon because the big game that night started at 7:30. I called my father home and I said, "Dad, you're not going to believe this." When he looked at me and he said, "You're going to designate the hit for both teams tonight." And I got to thinking about that a minute. You talking about a big chore. That's
some heavy lifting.
Yeah. And we're going to play probably 10 innings. And the whole town's coming out. A&M's right next door. This is their junior college for and they're right next door, and everybody's coming out to watch this big, huge game, big tryout game. And the next thing you know, here I am, not deserved to be there, but not deserving to be there. Turn around and give me a chance. Him giving me a chance like this was remarkable. And then taking advantage of it and having I'll just tell you, I had a partner with me that night. How's that sound? Okay.
Yeah.
And that night, I just ripped everything that they threw at me. I just ripped it. And it was just an amazing, amazing night. I called it a big night. And to be honest with you, a while ago you asked what happened beyond the story. Well, I'll tell you what happened that night, and it's going to be neat for you to hear this. I had 4 cents in my pocket left to get home. The church and everybody had already gone. They already left. And I didn't have any gas to make it home. It was on dead empty. And I went over there and just parked in the car, put my feet out the window, just looked up and thanked God for this beautiful night, because this was a night that no one could forget. I mean, the scouts, the college scouts, couldn't believe it. Heck, I couldn't even believe it. But saying that, I woke up the next morning and said, well, you know what, God, how in the world am I going to get home? I got no gas money. I got no gas. And I didn't tell you guys this. I'm also an arm wrestler. And I saw these three Strutter guys over there arm wrestling that was left over from the big camp, because there's ball players still everywhere hanging out. And I went over there and arm wrestled them, made 15 quick bucks. I had gas money to get home.
I love it.
That's a perfect way to wrap it up, guys.
That's amazing.
I thought I heard every story, but this is a new one.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, gents, we gotta be getting going, but we appreciate you so much taking the time to be here with us. The film comes out August 25th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. August 25th. I think tickets go on sale the next week or two.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get it out here. I think we're going to air this before like the 15th is what we've decided. So they'll give everybody a chance to put it on their to-do list to go out and see The Hill. The story of Rickey Hill. He's here with us, and Jeff, the director. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. What a wonderful opportunity.
And thank you, my team of Emma and everybody else who's on here, hanging on, listening to these stories. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you guys.
All right, baseball family, we'll be right back, and then we will wrap it up with you. All right, baseball family, we're really excited to bring you that interview. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Don't forget to go out and check out. Yep, I said that. The Hill. It'll be in theaters coming up in just 10 days. So go out and check it out. That's my new phrase.
The 25th, for those of you who don't math well, by the way. August 25th, it'll be in theaters.
That's right. Well, that's 10 days. It's 10 days from today. Anyway, it'll be out the 25th, like we said. Anyway, Brad, tell them about Chinook.
I sure will. Head over to ChinookSeedery.com and you will find the best seeds ever. And I'm not just saying that. That's what they say on the packaging, actually, and they ain't lying. So you can go get yourself some seeds and save 10% on your order by using code BTPOD at checkout on ChinookSeedery.com. Again, BTPOD at checkout to save 10%. That will support your mouth, support the show, and also support your pocket by saving some money. But baseball family, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere you can, especially on the YouTube machine, because we have some goals that we're trying to reach on the machine there, and that will help us a lot, help us get there. But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that. And joining us, we hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we did, and we will catch you on Friday night.